Okay, folks, we're looking at ideas for running a signal service, and this is for informational purposes only. You got to figure out who your target market's going to be. And my advice is to avoid the youth. That means the guys that are around 20-something, because they're going to be the ones that have the least patience. They're going to be the most demanding, and they want you to make $1 million and 1,000 pips every single day, and it's not going to happen, as you know. So when we look at a target audience, what we're looking for is someone that has, number one, a little bit of years behind them, obviously, that aren't going to be so old, and I don't mean that to be disrespectful because I'm getting old myself, but you want to have someone that has a willingness to take some risk on. And the way you do that, and the way I've done it, and yes, I have a lot of young guys and young gals, that follow me, but I have a pretty good core group that's a little bit older than 30, and I think that's the target audience you want, about anywhere between 28 and about 50 years old. That's about the right target audience. Now, obviously, you're not going to get that kind of audience if you're on Facebook, or Instagram, or even Twitter. You're going to get it from, of all places, the forums. You can go to like Forex Factory, okay, and you can start a thread. And what you're going to do is you're going to present the ideas that, number one, start off right from the beginning, stating that you're going to be drawing up an interest in a signal service that you're going to be promoting. And you want to be able to do this by way of being honest from the beginning. If that's your intentions, you intend to sell setups that you find in the charts, that's fine. Go right ahead and do that if that's your your wish or whatever. But be very, very clear from the beginning, because if you're honest from the beginning, number one, it's very disarming. Folks won't be like, oh well, I knew this was coming. You're telling them right from the beginning, okay? And second of all, you'll know right away who's trolling you and who's not going to be trolling you. And if you're going to be marketing right from the beginning, don't entertain any trolls at all. Just go about your business, do it, and who cares if they like it or don't like it, okay? You want to be completely devoid of all kinds of emotions. You don't want to be excited and elated and say, yeah, high five when you're right, and you don't want to piss and moan when you're wrong. You're doing the same thing consistently. You see a setup, you put the information out there, let them, as the audience, see it, minimum 30 days. Everyone gets to see it for free, okay? A lot of you don't want to do that. A lot of you don't want to give away freebies, okay? But I'm going to tell you, if you provide a good, consistent basis on finding setups, and you do it at least a minimum for a month, you can drum up a good core group real fast. If you're consistent and you do it for 2 months for free, you will get all the customers you'll ever need to work with. Now, if you're going to be doing a target launch for customers or an audience that builds your customer base, starting off small, not promising them a whole lot, okay, maybe 25 pips twice a week, okay, and if you do that, number one, it's not going to build high expectations, and believe me, there's a lot of folks out there that cannot find 25 pips once a month. So if you're telling them that you can see it at least 2 times a week, what you're promising is basically a 50 pip net on the week. And I think that's realistic. Okay, anything less than that isn't going to really drum up a lot of interest, and anything more than that, you're really setting the expectations really, really high. And when you can't make them every week, you're going to lose subscribers, you're going to lose and customers, and they're going to start complaining. And believe me, complaints are nerve-wracking. So what are you going to provide in terms of your time frame? What's the setups or signals you're going to provide? Now, obviously, like we've seen people on Facebook and Instagram and on Periscope, and you know who I'm talking about, they promise the world, okay, and you're going to be able to do everything. You're going to own the world, okay? You can't do that. You can't do that with signals. You got to be consistent about what time frame, what is the setup that you're going to be aiming for, and that's your bread and butter. Okay, and I'm going to suggest a few outlines to you verbally. You guys can go through the charts and see them on your own. But you need to determine what it is that you're going to do as a setup. Are you going to be a intraday trader that trades the New York session, which in my opinion is the easiest one to do? You can get a lot of people to follow that one. You got to get hardcore traders that want to get up at London to do that. Plus, you got to be really good at London. So if you're not as sharp on your technicals as you might hope to be, you want to try to avoid London. Let London give you all the insights about what you should be doing in New York. Okay, look at me. New York, I'm pretty consistent with what New York's going to be doing. London, depending on what the market is doing and what kind of conditions we're in, I could be hot on London. I could be really cold on London. But if you give me London, I got about a 65 to 70% likelihood I'm going to call the New York session pretty accurately. Now, if I'm telling you that and I'm the one that taught you, doesn't it kind of like promote the idea that if you're going to be doing a signal service, do it in New York session? You'll have more traders and more audience members to choose from and build a base up with that time frame than any other. Even though London has the big bang and the big high and the low of the day, who cares? Okay, you want to do signals and you want to generate money like that? Fine, do it through New York setups. They're easiest, they're low-hanging fruit, and you have an opportunity really Monday through Friday. London, I try to avoid that on Monday, and I started on Tuesday, and you know that. So are you going to try to force a Monday setup because you have now a subscriber base? Don't do it. So if you're going to be doing a time frame set up around New York session, which in my opinion, I think that's the best way to do it. If you're going to do that, you need to determine what is the setup time frame you're going to be looking for. Are you going to be looking at a 15-minute chart, a 30-minute chart, a 1-hour chart? I think primarily a 30-minute chart is pretty decent for a signal service because you're not going to have everyone, unless you're doing a live room, which brings with it a whole different dynamic. But if you're going to be generating signals and sending it by social media like Twitter or like Telegram, those types of apps, or if you have an app built for yourself where it's only subscriber based only, you can get something like that built for about $300 to $600 and have it pretty much run right from your phone. Okay, you can do a screen capture of a chart, put your lines on it or whatever, and then send it out. But whatever time frame it is that you're going to do, stay with that. Stick with it, because you don't want your audience members flipping back and forth looking at charts, because number one, they're going to be looking for things and trying to figure out what you're doing, especially if you're right. So if you deliver your charts and your levels that you're looking to buy, where your stop and where your target's going to be at, and you do it only on one time frame, number one, you're going to build continuity, and you're going to force them to only look at the perspective that you want them to be looking at. So if you're in the driver's seat as running this signal service, you want absolute control. You want control of the perspective of your audience, and you want to be able to manage their expectations. And if you do that with one chart time frame, you will make your life much, much more relaxing and less of a stress than it can be or will be, absolutely, if you start giving them all different time frames. Okay, signal services are not meant to prove you're smart. You're giving them signals and setups for them to chase after in their demo account. And that brings me to, what are you going to be doing in terms of your time frame? Are you going to be teaching with a live account? Because to me, personally, you're asking for trouble with that. Don't be afraid to be a demo baller if you're doing signal services. Working with a demo account, number one, it protects you, because if you're especially in the States, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, they like to come down on people that are selling services and signals, because chances are they're going to come at you trying to say that you proved that you're going to give them riches, okay, or that you tried to sell them, the idea that they're going to get rich real quick or they're never going to lose any money. And that's why I tell you, and I've told you from the beginning, I'm teaching with a demo account. Everything you see here is in a demo account. You don't see my cars, you don't see my houses, you don't see my boats, and you don't see my mansions, you don't see my watches, you don't see my shoes. Don't do any of that in your marketing. Don't do any of that in your marketing. Let your numbers and your consistency do all the work for you. Let the audience build their idea of whatever you are based on what you do in your analysis, period. Because if you got to draw the attention of folks with rented cars, going to a model home, standing around getting pictures in it like you live there, all that stuff, it just brings with it all the wrong elements. You're going to draw the wrong audience in, and also what you're doing is you're building the expectation that they're going to get that kind of stuff if they follow you. Okay, so teaching with a demo account, make it very clear from the beginning. You use a demo account and let everyone talk all the smack that they want to talk. Believe me, trust me, if there is substance to what you're doing, the audience will see it, period. I took a demo account. You've all watched me do everything in this setting on a demo account, and I made over $1 million profits. Now, it's been taxed. I don't have all that money. It's been taxed a great deal. But nonetheless, it was done all around a demo account. Okay? I didn't provide a track record. I didn't go on my FX book and show you this or show you that. I basically gave everything in terms of the context of what I see in a chart, why I think it happens. When it happens, great. When it doesn't happen, next. Okay? That's how you want to do your service if you're going to be doing a signal service. Do it in a demo and tell them from the beginning it's for informational purposes only. This is just to highlight the likelihood of seeing consistency in setups by studying price action. Notice that I did not say you're going to make money with this. Every single one of you signed an agreement every single month that you're with me. And it says that you're not learning some secret service inside technicals. Okay, you're not getting inside information, and you cannot make money. You have to have that in your terms of use. Every single one of you signed that. It states that I teach with a demo account. There's absolutely no way you can lose money in that demo account, and you cannot ever make money with that demo account. Now, everybody understands what can happen if you take the information that you do in a demo account, and if it's right in a live account, what do you get from that? Potential profits. Every one of your customers are already going to naturally think that anyway. But you cannot promote your service in a light that you're going to make them rich. You cannot promise them that you're going to be profitable. You cannot do those things. If you do, number one, the feds, CFTC, whoever your governing bodies are, wherever you live at, they're going to come knocking on your door, okay, and they're going to say, hey buddy, look, what's the deal here? You're scamming, you're ripping people off, yada yada yada. And also, by doing this, it pushes away all the weak-minded people, because if they're chasing a dollar, you don't want them to be in your audience. You want them to look at the setups, okay, and follow along, and let them decide if they're going to do it in their own live account. You're not ever telling them to do that. You're never going to say, fill the boat, okay, back to Brink's truck up, okay, which is ripped off from me from 15 years ago. Bottom line is you can't take the ideas and promote in the minds of your audience that they're going to get rich. You cannot do that, okay? You're just going to bring in all kinds of trouble for yourself. Not to mention, you're building way too high of expectations. Let them watch you for a month or two, okay, and let them see constant signals that pan out. If you're good, believe me, they will be beating on your email address. Please let me sign up, because there's so many people out there that are completely lost. They have no idea what's going on. They've been ripped off by other people. The people they've trusted can't show them anything. There's no substance in what they teach. They cheat them. The bottom line is they cheat them. So you don't want to be that. You can make a big name for yourself in a very short period of time by not talking about yourself. Don't promote yourself. Just say, here, just watch the setups. And keep it really boring, okay? Because what that also will do is it'll push the teeny boppers away, all the young crowd. You don't want that, because they're the first ones that's going to come at you for a charge back. They're going to ask for their money back because they heard you say you're making them $1 million when you never said that at all. Trust me when I tell you that's always the case, okay? So you need to determine what medium you're going to use. You're going to be a Twitter soldier, or you're going to be on Instagram, or you're going to have your own Telegram room where it's membership only, whatever. You need to decide all those types of things and stick to one medium. Now, here's the next big question. What are you going to charge? Because there's a lot of people out there that want to do this, but a lot of people can't afford it. And a lot of people can't afford to trade it at all, period. So if you're expecting to charge, like for instance, I charge $150 a month. there's services that charge twice what I pay, and you don't get nowhere near the level of what you learn from me. And I'm not doing signal services, but I guarantee you they're not getting what they should for $300 or plus a month. So you need to keep it reasonably affordable, but you also don't want it so free that people aren't they're not going to stick with it. Because if you're charging $20 a month, well, there's a reason for that. It ain't worth anything. So you want to be able to make it cost effective for you to do it, but you also have to make it affordable for as many people as you're trying to get, which brings me to the next question. How big do you want this to get? They're going to tell you, for somebody that doesn't have a job, that has all the free time in the world, and I had people helping me, I could barely keep up with 830 people. I could barely breathe, okay? And I don't know what level of stress you're able to take on, but this is too much for me. So you need to figure out what you're trying to do. I mean, if you do a signal service that's $100 a month, okay, and you're consistent with it, and you get 100 people, there's nothing wrong with $10,000 a month. Don't let greed tap you on the shoulder and say, well, I need to do 5 times that or 10 times that. Trust me, it comes with a great deal of workload, and you want it real simple, real easy. And 100 people is easy to manage, real easy to manage. Even 50 is even manage. Easy. It's wonderful, small size groups like that. You can carve out a living with just that tiny little pocket of audience. And 50 people are easy to get. I turn at least 150 people away every single week. They all still want to sign up to the mentorship, and it's no. So just know that whenever you build your target audience number in mind, what your base audience is going to be, stick to that. Unless you can build in an infrastructure that supports it, it's just going to be a nightmare, and you can turn a really good thing into something bad. And as soon as customer service becomes an issue, it doesn't matter how good your service is in terms of your setups. Believe me, word of mouth starts spreading, and it's like cancer, and nobody's going to come near you. So when you're doing terms of use and disclaimers, you got to know what the laws are, and I keep it real simple. I promise you no profitability. I promise you that we work in a demo account, and I promise that I'm not giving you something secret. Okay, and I make you all sign that, so that way there's been no promise of anything at all. The expectations are zero. You get to watch me talk about something that has absolutely zero value whatsoever. As the audience, you've seen what has happened on a demo account, and that demo account has made you nothing, and it's taken nothing from you. But I know, as the person that put this stuff together, I know what your minds are already thinking. Because if I can see 50 pips a week in a demo account, what happens when I put my live account to work and I start doing these setups? That's something that you arrived at on your own. I didn't tell you that. And that's why I always tell you, I will never tell you when you're going to put live money at work. You decide that. And that way you don't get to share the credit with me, and I don't get the pain, when you say it was wrong. It was completely and utterly done by you. You were the one that did that. You took the responsibility as soon as you pressed the key to get yourself into the trade. And you have to remind your customers that that's what you're doing. And I already know what you're thinking. Well, nobody's going to want to do that. They're going to call me a demo baller. Yes, they are. And they're the ones you don't want to deal with. Because if they can see that you're consistent and you show them in a chart very vaguely, it's here, it's going to go there, it shouldn't go here, and there you go. Watch what happens. You want your analysis. If you're going to be doing analysis service, not even setups, like if you're not doing signals, you just want to talk about analysis and have people join you for your technical analysis. There's a few of you in here that want to do that. Number one, first and foremost, we have a non-disclosure agreement. That means you cannot talk about concepts, commentary, insights. You can't give reasons why this is that, nothing. And I got one guy that is doing YouTube videos, and he swears up and down he's not teaching it, but you are teaching it. You're absolutely teaching it, because you're giving it in bite-sized pieces over a long period of time, and they all know you're part of my mentorship, period. And because of that, you're kind of like right on the line where you're violating the NDA. You are. And anyone that wants to do analysis or signal services, you cannot talk about the concepts you've learned here. You can't do it. You can't say, well, I learned the order block in your free tutorials, and that's all I'm doing. No, because invariably you're going to be teaching them the right order blocks. Don't even bring up order blocks. Don't talk about it. Don't use my terms. Don't use any of those things. And the other thing is, do not market your stuff with ICT in the name. You did this all on your own. If you want to go into business with a signal service or an analysis concept stuff, if you're going to talk about where the market's going to go, ICT has nothing to do with that. Inner Circle Trader has nothing to do with it. There's one guy out there that he's putting on his webpage that he's gone through the mentorship. He was here for a couple months and quit. And it's G'day FX. Bottom line is, I don't want people marketing their stuff with my name in it. Okay, I don't want that. I'm not supporting it. I'm not behind it. And what you're doing is you're dangling a carrot out there, like this guy saying that he's been here the whole time and he's done everything. And you can't do that. We haven't even finished the course yet. We haven't even done the complete program yet. But it's being promoted as if he's graduated from it. He may have went through all the tutorials, and just like every one of you, I've done that. But don't market your service with me, because here's number one reason. Number one, I don't get any money for it. And you heard that right. I'm not getting paid for that. And I don't want to get paid for it. And here's the second reason. When it fails, I don't want anything coming back on me that I had something to do with that. And that's what I'm telling you. In this right now, if I get asked, okay, well, you taught people to go into in the signal service business. No, I didn't. I said, if you're going to do that, don't use me as part of it. And teach people with a demo account. Show your setups in a demo account. And believe me, you're going to get laughed at by a lot of people. Tons of people every day. Oh, demo baller. Show your real results. Put it on MyFX. Put it this. Put it that. Every one of you saw past all of that, and you've learned what makes price move around. You've seen it before it happens, and you've seen when it failed. You've seen when it worked, and you've seen when you had to wait longer for the setup. That's the real world. That's why you had to be here the whole time. Signal services don't operate like that. You need to be able to fire them off consistently. How many times are you going to give a signal? It's going to be daily? That's too high. Way too high. You want to have about 3 times a week, I think is fair. Because that builds in the likelihood that you're going to be wrong twice. Or you're going to miss something twice. But you want to focus in on when there's a high probability scenario and really milk it. Try to get in there and put your audience on that idea and let them watch it. Believe me, you do not need to show a live account. You don't need to do that. Because as soon as you do one time a promise of, here's my live results, or here's my live track record, you're on the hook for the rest of your the time of you doing a signal service. And if your results aren't on par with what the expectations are of the audience, you've done buried yourself. It's over. You can't do it because everyone's going to talk about it. And like anything else, Forex has got a really bad name. There's so many scammers and so many people out there that just take people's money and they don't even know what they're talking about. They can't find something in the chart. They can't describe what the market's going to do, and it never works out. And you see them, and they keep creating new customer these carnival-like atmospheres where they draw in a new audience or try to hold on to their audience, okay, with a new company name, but they're still selling the same bullshit. So you don't want to be anything like that. You want to be boring. You absolutely want to be boring. And believe me, boring sells, especially in this industry. Boring sells like crazy. If you want to go over the top, you saw what it did with me. It brings in all kinds of young guys, okay, and they may blow smoke up your rear end and make you sound like the greatest thing in the world. But the rest of the people that are watching, they're like, listen, look at this. They're buying into all this hype, this hype, this hype, this hype. Now, I liked it because I was free, but it hurts me as a marketer because there's a lot of people that said, no, you went to selling and I knew that was coming. When that really wasn't the idea. But if you're going to go into this, you need to start right from the beginning saying that you are going to start as a signal service that is paid. It is going to be highlighting setups in a demo account for your protection. Make it very clear. It's protecting you and it's protecting the audience. Okay. And if they feel the inclination to take the trade in a live account, the risks are associated to them and solely on them, and the credit goes to them as well. Okay. And what do you have as terms of use? What are you going to operate in? What makes you the service that you're trying to sell? And where are the limitations and what are the expectations? You need to outline that very clearly. You're welcome to use my terms of use as a model. You can change everything that has anything to do with me or my company. You're welcome to do that. If you do not have the standard CFTC disclaimers, which started at the beginning of this presentation, definitely you need to have that every single time. Every single time they have to be there, absolutely there. Because if you don't, you're in violation, okay? And the CFTC can absolutely say, hey, you're screwing up, and you're making it seem like people can make money, and there has to be a disclaimer. Hypothetical results are not atypical, basically, and past performance is not indicative of future results. I just paraphrased that one paragraph that always is in red at the beginning of my videos. That stuff has to be there, and you got to tell them that you're not licensed to give trade advice. What you're doing is you're selling them your opinion about a demo account, and you got to be very, very specific, because that's what I did with you all. I sold you an opinion of what I think is going to happen in a demo account, and the structure was for 12 months. So if you're going to be doing a signal service, you need to be framing it for a 30-day period. So you're selling them your opinion based on what you think is going to happen in a demo account for 30 days. And if they like what they saw, they are welcome to subscribe again. Now, that brings us to dealing with disclaimers. You have to make it very clear that if they don't pay by a specific time, you cut them off. My terms of use have been consistent from the beginning. You know, everyone knows they got to make their payment by the 3rd, regardless of when your automatic payment is, after it by a day or two, and it's always been that way. And I always cut you off on the 3rd, and then I reinstate your access and the whole show. You need to be very specific about when people are supposed to pay you and hold them to it. And that's the reason why you need to have a more mature audience base, because you get these young guys that are working at like retail places, they're barely making any money, and they're hoping they're going to see what you're teaching or doing or giving in setups, and they're going to be able to retire in 6 months or 30 days sometimes. But if you can be honest with them from the beginning, as you should be, provide all the disclaimers about the risks are all theirs, okay, if they act in a live account. You're not encouraging them to do that. It's absolutely not investment advice, okay? Believe me, whether they are ready to trade or not, the audience that is in Forex right now, they all are starving to see somebody out there be able to call moves, not just once in a while, okay, but consistently be able to pull things out of a chart and say, it's right here now, but it's going to go up here next, and it shouldn't go down to this price level. And what that is it's an outline or a setup. And that's all you're going to be doing. That's the only thing I'm in agreement with. That's what I think. If you're not going to be trading your own money and you want to drum up some money to do your own trading, if you've gotten to the point where you feel consistently profitable in your demo, that demo profit track record, you need to determine how long it's going to take for you to move into live accounts. You never tell anyone in a signal service to do anything with a live account, ever. Make your specific commentaries about the level or whatever, and the idea that it's going to go up or go down, always include as informational purposes only, and it is not trade advice, and always refer to it as a demo trade setup. By doing that, number one, the audience knows from the beginning it's all demo, it's demonstration account only, it cannot hurt them, it can't make them any money. People that read that, they cannot be, oh, well, he told me it was a live account. Oh, he told me that it was going to make me rich. No, I have won 2 PayPal chargeback claims with folks that went 6-7 months into this, okay, and they said, you know what, this is not as described. I'm not making any money with this. Go to your terms of use, and you'll see that you signed, and you put your initials next to it, that you understand that this is done with a demo account, that you cannot make money, and you cannot lose any money, and it's not investment advice. As soon as PayPal sees that, I won. When people say, I want my money back, this isn't as described. Number one, they knew what it was going in because you all agreed to the terms. That's why it's important. You have to have terms. If you don't do this, you're going to have all these people send you money. And it feels good, trust me, all the money piling in, okay, and you start thinking about what you're going to do with the money and what you're not going to do with the money. But then when you deliver the service, there could be as many as who knows how many that's going to just basically try to use it and abuse it, get it for free, and then say it wasn't as described. So my terms of use, if you read it really careful, and I think most of you really didn't read it, you just signed it and said let's get on with it. But the ones that had every interest of coming in and try to do this for free, pay, invest for a couple months, and then try to get all their money back, they quickly learned that that didn't work. And I told everyone in the beginning, you need to be that bold and very direct with them in the beginning, that you are actively going to fight every chargeback. And this is the reason why you're promising them up front that it's done in a demo. You cannot make money with this stuff, okay? And you're not a licensed trade advisor. You're selling them your opinion in a demo account. Trust me when I tell you, if you do this consistently over time, traders and people watching, they're going to read between a line, and they're going to make that whole transition from demo to live account in their own mind. You're not selling them that, but that's just going to be the default. That's what's going to happen. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows it, okay? So you have to be very clear in black and white terms that you know that you are operating in a demo account, and everything that you're saying is to be viewed in the context of a demo account only, period. Insist that they understand that they cannot be profitable trading in a demo account, period. End of story. Now, when you do get dead wood buyers, that means people that have paid and they go to they go to their credit card company, or they go to PayPal if you're going to use PayPal. And let me say something real quick. In the beginning, I was upset about PayPal because I was like, man, this is a lot of work. And I had one member that actually he's still here, and he had an issue that caused my PayPal account to lock up. And that's what tripped off all these bells and whistles, because I had so much money coming in at one time. It had to be a scammer. That's what they were saying. They said, look, why are you getting all this money? And first of all, it's none of your business why I'm getting all this money. I'm selling a service. Okay, but after time, people subscribing, and I said, look, I don't need the money. I don't need to eat tomorrow based on this money coming in. Have it locked up for a month or two. You'll see that these people still send me money. Once they realized that people were subscribing, and I was showing them the emails that people were sending saying that they agreed to the terms and they wish to continue, that's what I was supplying to them. Every single month, I sent that all to them. And then I went with Adobe Sign, which to me was the best thing in the world. It cost me $12,000 to get 1,000 signatures per month, or basically I bought a pool of 12,000 signatures. Okay, and they sold it to me for $1 per signature. And you're probably thinking that's a lot of money. Well, I guess it is if you don't have much money now. But I had a subscriber base of 830 people, so I knew that there was a likelihood that I was going to let people in November that missed it in September and October. And you saw me do that. I let the subscriber base come in, and that's why I said I had a few subscriber openings there. But some of the people that quit, when they quit, the new people that came in, it just really balanced out. So I didn't gain any new subscribers. I just filled in the gaps on the people that left. Okay, so none of those people asked for their money back. They were very, mature about everything. They just left. It wasn't until like the group that came in November, that's where all the chargeback kids came in. Okay, they came in and they tried to go in 6-7 months, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, look, and I think it's probably to do with somebody in here that's probably sharing it, which I'll find out who it is if it is, and believe me, you're going to be paying for it. But you have these guys that are coming out, okay, and I've only had 7. I've had 7 attempted chargebacks out of the whole process. Now we're here in the 12th month. 7 attempted chargebacks. And I've only given one of them their money back. And I did that on my own. I didn't lose it. I didn't lose the claim. The guy started, he came in, he downloaded everything for that particular month and said it wasn't as described and I want my money back. And I said, you know what, that's fine, go right ahead. He didn't sign the intent to continue, and it was mid-month, and I said, you know what, go right. I knew this was going to probably happen anyway when I let him in, and I said, it's okay, you only got 1 month and I'll let you go. So I gave him his month back, and that was it. So I lost really just 1 month sale. Who cares? You're gonna have some of that kind of stuff, once in a while. But you don't want to go to a new month of service with someone, okay, and then number one, they have to authorize their payment. That's a big deal. Credit card companies are like, well, this is our customer, and they're threatening to close their account with us if we don't try to work this out for them. So they're saying that they didn't remember to turn off the service and they didn't access it, so we need to see, did they access it? So that's what I have a forum for. I can see every time you go in and you access that file. And even from my server, I can see when the ISP address pulls the file from my server. So some of you gotten wise to some of my file names, and you've gone, and I've watched this on some of the accounts where they don't go to the forum. They just know if they just change the date, they can go right into the server and grab it. I can still see your ISP address when that happens, and I can see when you didn't go into the forum to get it. And that's why sometimes I change the file names around, and I mess with those individuals that do that. And there's one guy in here that wants to be OCD about file names, and they all have to be there. And I told him earlier on in the mentorship that, if you want the file names to be that organized, just change them when you download it. Bottom line is I'm doing it because I'm watching when people go in through the forum to get the server, or if they're going right to the server and circumventing the entire form itself. And I watch how many people get that file. Every time I upload a file, I go and I look at a report, I run a server report, and I can see how many times it's been downloaded. And I watch and see how much there's a deviation. If it's a big ramp up, like I'm expecting this month's files to have a ton of people downloading it, because who knows how many people in here sharing and breaking the NDA. But if you have a terms of use, you make them sign it. Period. Make them operate with you with one email address. If they try to use a different email address, ask them, why are you emailing me from this email address? You have to go back to that other email address. And if they're using it because the other one's no longer valid, then they have to state that it's no longer valid, and this is why I'm using this one. And they need that same email address has to be through PayPal. Now, some of the goobers that tried to leave and try to get their money back, they did this whole game where they went into PayPal, they started their account up with one email address, and then changed their email address, and then tried to say, well, I agreed and I signed the intent to continue, but that was when I was wanting to do it, but now all these months I didn't do it and it wasn't me. Well, how about when you change your address on PayPal, they send me a notice and it says that they've changed the email. And every time someone's done that, I've always done that as a flag, and I put it to the side, and I knew, and I told Cody, I said, this guy's going to play the game. And I was right. He tried to ask for 7 of his month's payments. After signing his intent to continue, he was completely satisfied. Now he has all the information, and guess what? He didn't get his money back. And I promised everybody that's how I was going to be. And I'm a scammer, I'm a this and I'm a that on Twitter and online and Forex Peace Army. Whatever they want to say about me is fine. The bottom line is I was out from the beginning telling you what I was going to do, how I was going to operate, and I've operated in those parameters every single month. So that's what you have to do. And then if you do that, you won't waste your time, you won't waste your energy, and you won't waste your money on people that are deadbeat buyers that really have no interest in paying, because they look at it as, I'm just making an investment and I'll get all my money back and I'll get it for free. Not with me, they didn't. And if you do what I'm telling you, they won't do it with you either. PayPal loves me. Believe me, they love me. They're making lots of money off of me because of the transaction sizes I put through every single month. And they also love the fact of how organized I am. I forced everyone, and some of you complained about having to sign this every month, but that's the reason why I did it, because I know, as nice as some of you people are, okay, all of you sound nice in the email. And I have glowing, loving emails from these 7 people that try to get all their money back. The very day that the guy canceled, he sent me a letter, an email, said, I thank you very much for everything you've done. I love all the lessons. I'm not going to end with the last month. I'm going to stop here, and I wish to have my last month's payment returned. No problem. Absolutely. Gave the refund back, and then all of a sudden I had chargebacks, always back as far as he could. And he could only go back 5 months because PayPal limits it to 6 months. Well, he had that most recent one for August payment, and he got it back, and then he could only go back 5 more months. And he went to his credit card company, and as soon as I forwarded it to PayPal, his signed signature and his intent to continue, and he was satisfied with what he got, and he authorized his payment. Case closed. Sided with me. Sorry for your loss. And I'm not bragging and I'm not trying to beat my chest, but you have to do that. If you're going to be a merchant, if you're selling information, if you're selling a service, you absolutely have to have zero emotion, and I don't care what they feel about me. And that's how you got to be. So don't talk yourself up. Don't build yourself up to this superhuman level, and people won't have these high expectations. Promise them nothing in the beginning except for constant, consistent setups, and let them develop their own opinion about that in their own mind. The reason why you want to do 3 months, 30 days, 1 month free, or at least if you can do 2 months, it's even better, because then you got a better track record of how many times you're right and how many times you're wrong. As soon as you start the service, your very first payment, you want them to sign authorizing their payment and that they saw you do what you promised to show them the previous month when it was for free. Now, you're selling the idea to them for free, but then they end up paying for it after they see it. So that's how you want to market it. Say, look, I'm going to give you the information for free first, so you guys can make an assumption on your own, come to the conclusion whether or not there's any value to this. If you want to continue, it won't be shown publicly anymore, but if you want to continue, this is how you do it. You have to, either pay by PayPal, and some of you guys will say, oh, I don't like PayPal. Let me tell you something. I didn't like PayPal in the beginning, but I love it because they do all the currency conversions. I got people all around the world. I don't have to worry about any of that. I don't have anything to worry about. They charge a little bit much for it, but guess what? They're doing a lot of work. And if you're organized on your end, believe me, all I got to do is call them up and say, hey, look, I got an issue with this buyer. Can you take a look at the file size? It's sent. Yep, done, handled it. And they cancel the charge right back, and it goes back to me, and they lose the case that quick. If as long as you're organized and you're consistent, and if you have terms of use, you operate in them. Don't deviate. Don't make secondary conditions for people that you like. Okay, I have shown no partiality whatsoever in this, and you have to do the same thing. If you're charging people, you have to be consistent about it. You're a merchant now. Okay, so you have to be responsible. So what can you do using the setups? What can you have as your analysis, and what can you do for your setups in terms of sharing it? Well, when you have your charts, or if you're doing analysis, number one, you got to keep it bland. All your commentary has got to be boring, bland, no descriptive ICT terms, no insights from institutional standpoint. So if you have any charts, you can't be descriptive about it. You can't use any commentary. And here's the thing, don't even bring up free tutorial stuff. Don't even do it, because what you're doing is you're marketing my stuff. Don't do it. Just provide a suggested entry price, no details as to why. Suggest the protective stop level with no details as why, and suggest a profit target in your demo and with no details as to why. Before, during, and post-trade, win or lose, okay, you're going to provide no commentary or outline as to why the trade was taken or why it failed or panned out profitably. You want to keep your charts simple, no insights required. Now, I know some of you are thinking, nobody's going to subscribe to that. Wrong. It's all going to happen between the audience members' ears. This is what I don't want to see. I don't want to see this. This is all ICT stuff in this chart here. Fair value gap closed, fill in this area here. I think the price is going to go down here and fill in this little area, and then it's going to go up here, then it's going to go to order block here, and then it's going to expand up to this bearish order block, or it's going to take out this level of stops. You're teaching my stuff. That's not what you signed not to do that, period. Okay? This is what you can do. This is acceptable. I don't have a problem with this, and you'll never hear me complain about it. If you think that the Australian dollar is going to go up and this is your setup that you're providing them, okay, this is permissible. The market must trade to 78.95 or higher prior. Then buy is triggered at 78.90 at market or at 78.95 on a buy limit. You're highlighting the price level, where the protected stop loss should be, and where you're aiming for price to go to. Once the trade's done, you're welcome to share it in this light. This is what a post-trade idea or setup would look like. There's nothing telling anybody about why it was taken. It's ambiguous. It's completely disarming. No one, unless they go through all the ICT stuff or if they're part of the mentorship, won't understand why this is the case. It's boring, and it's absolutely boring for a reason, because number one, in your mind, see, you're thinking because you have the added benefit of knowing what leads this market to go to that level, and all the PD arrays and all the institutional order flow and all the ideas that lend well to why the price should go up like that. So you have a perspective that's skewed on the side of, well, I know what I know, and the audience, they're going to feel cheated and they need to know more. No, they don't. Because I went years on baby pips doing the same optimal trade entry fib retracement, and believe me, they were eating it up like candy. okay? And I wasn't doing anything new. It wasn't until I got into tutorials and teaching things that then it went like wildfire. Everybody was talking about ICT stuff. But you can't do that with your analysis, and you can't do that with your signal services. They have to be bland. Now, let me tell you the reason why you should not worry about that being a hamper on you being able to get customers or people following you. If you've ever seen a magician, okay, and some of the things I do in my presentation, whether you realize it or not, it's magic. Some of it's smoke and mirrors, some of it's misdirection, a lot of it is showmanship. So you need to understand that if you're showing something with consistency over a long period of time, and a long period of time in this case is 2 months, but minimum at least 30 days, give them access to you being able to call what the market should do. If you do that, you will have a group or a core audience that will come to expect the same thing over and over again. Believe me when I tell you, they want continuity, they want consistency, and they want the same thing. They'll tell you otherwise, but they really want it. So if you show them very minimal things to worry about and focus on, number one, they're not going to be distracted by other things. They're not going to chase other services because they're going to grow into a rhythm with you, providing the simple thing as this is where the buy should occur, where your stop should go. In other words, the price should not go down that low, and it's going to go up to that level. So you got a target, an entry, and a protective stop. That's it. You're not providing them reasons why it worked and reasons why it didn't work. You're just providing setups. In the mind of the viewers, if you're consistent about it, they are going to, by default, start daydreaming about if they could do this with live money, then they're going to act on it. You don't want to ever entice that. But human nature being what it is, you know that's what's going to happen. Everyone knows that, okay? But you're not marketing that. You're not telling people that that's what they should be doing. You're constantly always referring to the fact that in the upper left-hand corner, that's a demo account. Okay, so that way, if anybody ever puts claims in against you or reports you to some kind of a governing body, you can gladly say, I will see you when I see you, because there's nothing that I've done that's illegal, and I did not entice anybody into thinking they're going to get rich, and this has all been demo account only. And they knew from the beginning, they signed with the understanding in the beginning, and they authorized their payment, and they wish to continue every single month they were part of it. And if they go crazy and they start thinking they are going to get rich in one setup, and they over leverage their account and they burn out on one setup, that's not your responsibility. That's their responsibility. But believe me, their pain is going to be so bad, they're going to be wanting to exact some kind of revenge. And when you ask people to pay you money, the first thing they want to do is go after the people that they paid. And that's why you signed every single month that you got what you asked for. It was delivered as promised, and you authorized and wish to continue the next payment. That's how you have to operate. Now, do you need Adobe Sign to do it? I think that it would be in your best interest to do so. And that's the reason why I think doing it for free for 2 months, figure out what your core group is, and then build in about $5 of administrative costs for the Adobe. Okay, I got $1 because I had up to 1,000 transactions a month. They're probably going to be a little bit more expensive for you, but if you expect to have, I don't know, maybe 100 people or whatever, I know what you're thinking. Oh man, I got to pay $500 a month. Yeah, it's a write-off. Bottom line is that $500 that you're spending, okay, every single month. If you have 100 people paying you $100, that $500 allows you to keep the $9,500 with no worries. You can go to sleep at night knowing that once they sign that, it's over. They can't come back 3 months, a day later, 16 seconds later, a year later, and say they want their money back. That's what you need to be worrying about as a merchant. So there's a paradigm shift from being a free person and giving out candy all your life, okay, and then going and saying, okay, now pay me for my time. Believe me, regardless of how good it is, you're going to have somebody that says you are not worth that money, give it back. But they already got what you gave away, or sold in this case, and you don't want people abusing that. And use me as a model, because I'm telling you, I've only had 7 chargebacks, and I've only given back money to one guy. One. That's it. My chargeback ratio to my sales is so minuscule, it's unbelievable. And PayPal says it all the time when we talk. They're like, this is incredible. And you have a really good customer satisfaction and retention. Well, it's because that you guys are being marched through this process that's very, very strict. And some of you are very nice about it when I cut off your service, but the bottom line is, you know that that's what I'm going to do. And when you get what you need to get done, either signing something or making the payment, everything gets restored. And when you go right back into it again. You have to do those types of things if you're going to have people sending you money, period. So whether you're analysis concept service, or if you're going to be doing signal services, you cannot include ICT. You cannot use descriptive terms about institutions. You cannot use my lingo. You cannot market that you've been through my program. That's why I'm not giving out diplomas. When we're done, I will absolutely be doing it on YouTube, saying that if anybody is selling the idea that they've gone through my mentorship and they're going to teach or do signal services because of that, I'm going to welcome them to ask me by email if you are a member. Now, that's the only way I will violate the privacy, because I'm telling you, as part of the terms, right now, you cannot use me as a marketing tactic. You can't do it. Number one, because I don't want any part of a scam if it becomes described as one. I don't want to be part of the success or the horror story that creates, as a result of that. And I don't want you using my stuff. So if you do any of these things to do an analysis where you think the market's going to go higher or lower, let me go back to that too, because I think the signal side of it is pretty explained. The aspect of doing analysis. If you're doing videos on YouTube, okay, or if you're going to be doing a signal service, or not signal service, if you're going to be doing a service, like if you create your own forum, okay, and people can come in and watch you do in charts outline certain things, okay. Again, you cannot use ICT stuff there, okay. The best way to do it is draw a horizontal line across the entire chart and say, this is a good buy level, and protective stop, draw a horizontal line across the entire chart. That way you're not drawing any specific notation to a level that I've taught as a PD array, and do that as an example for the targets as well. It's boring, and I know the guy that's doing YouTube right now thinks that he has to talk a lot, and you don't. You don't need to do that, okay? Because everybody knows that you're part of the mentorship now. They all know you. They're following you on Twitter because they're hoping you're going to drop crumbs, and you are, and you need to stop doing that. So stop doing that. Don't even bring up ICT stuff at all. Not even the tutorial stuff. Nothing. Okay, I'm not selling a mentorship later on. I'm not, because believe me, it would help me if the folks were on YouTube and they start doing what I do, and they start doing YouTube videos and they see ICT, ICT, ICT. Believe me, if I open up the mentorship, they're not going to go with you. They're going to go with me, and I'm not doing this all again. So I'm not trying to keep you from making money, and I'm going to get all the money because I'm doing it all myself. I don't want you teaching my shit. Okay, it's simple as that. Don't do it. Don't talk about it in your videos. Don't talk about it in your service. Don't put it on your charts. It's that simple. You can talk about the market going from one level to the next, and yes, it's going to feel weird because you're so ingrained in learning how to talk about the market because we created a language with one another. But that can't happen in your services. It's simple. If you think it's going to go up from a specific level, call it support. If you think it's going to go down from a specific level, call it resistance. Let everybody think that's all you're doing is support and resistance. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's an accepted principle in trading, but nobody does it right. Now you know how to find real support and resistance, okay? So they're going to be impressed. This is what I'm talking about when I mentioned the magic or magician earlier. They're going to say, this guy knows the right levels. He knows the real support and resistance levels. And that's all I ever did. On America Online, I created an air of mystery around me, okay, because I was able to do something nobody else was consistently able to do. And I did it day in and day out. Now, granted, it was all luck because the market was going up and I was a good buyer. But long and short, now I can work both sides of the marketplace. And if you keep it very simple, the absence of detail, the curiosity factor is going to drive them crazy. It becomes very sticky. Okay, online and on social media, you want to create an air of stickiness. Okay, you want people to keep coming back to you and holding on to whatever you say on bated breath. And if you do that through a signal service, I'm telling you, your subscriber base will be everything you want it to be, plus more than you want. It's just that's the way it's going to be. And you need to know that going in, because you don't have to have 1,000 subscribers to do very, very well. Some of you are going to realize how you could literally carve out a niche and never trade live money ever, knowing what you know right now. Never have any risk. That's the position you have been placed in right now. You have the ability to start a signal service or start an analysis service where you think the market's going to go up or down based on these levels, period. No descriptive terms whatsoever. And you want to drive people crazy, do that. And they're going to be like, why? This is crazy. How is this guy able to do this? Or how's this lady able to be so accurate about it? And that gives people to talk about you. Word of mouth is how you're going to make most of your clientele build up. I didn't advertise. I've never advertised, ever. I just put one post on Baby Pips, and I became an overnight sensation because I did one post, period. And it was basically talking truth. And that's what you want to do. You want to be honest right from the beginning and stay honest the whole way. People say I lied this and lied that. I didn't lie about anything. It's in the perception of the audience. So you have to give them everything that they need, keep the things that they don't need away from them, and work in very, very bland, non-descriptive charts and bland, non-descriptive analysis. It's going to bounce or go up from this level. It shouldn't go down to this level, and it's going to go up to that level. You do that for 30 days, and you watch how many people go crazy. Wow, this is great. Because the fact that you're not teaching anything, what does it imply? You have something secret. You're not teaching something secret. So what they're going to do is they're going to try to figure it out. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's one guy, he's on Twitter. He left. He said it was a good service, but he figures he could have figured it out if he would have been here long enough. Dustin, you're wrong. You're wrong. With all due respect, you're wrong. You never would have figured this stuff out had it not been shown to you. Period. Because I know beyond a shadow of doubt that nobody else out there does this, and I'm proof. No one else has done it. Now you all have been equipped with it. So if you don't talk about what you're doing as to what causes that level to be a buy or sell, and the target being what it is and the stop being what it is, the absence of your commentary about it will drive people crazy. And everybody likes a good mystery. Something about this, it's eating at me. I want to know how he or she knows how to do this. They're going to expect it to be Elliott Wave, supply and demand. Who knows what else they're going to try to attribute it to? And it's going to be none of it. And they're always going to be guessing wrong. And it's going to propel them to continuously follow you. Morbid curiosity is going to cause people to pay for the first month subscription if you've been accurate for 1 to 2 months. Now think about it. Some of you need some scratch to get started. You invested most of your money just to go through this course. And there's no shame in that. You got started with $2,600 on a credit card. And believe me, I'm as modest as it got. So if you know that there is substance to what you've learned, and if you build your audience up, maybe it's 3 months that you want to do it for free. Invest your time. Do it. Because I'm telling you, if you build an audience, you get 500 people in here, that's good grief. That's $50,000 in 1 month of transactions that's going to come to you. That's it. That's what you started with. It was a demo account, remember? Everybody had a $50,000 demo account. But you need to start with building the clientele base and expect half of them to say no when the dollar signs come up and say, okay, it's time to pay. Just expect half of them to say, okay, it's been interesting, but I'm not going to pay for this. Because they're going to feel like you're going to be goaded in and guilted into saying, I'll go back to doing free. Like your time is no value.